Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The Houthis vow that US and UK strikes on their positions in Yemen will not go without punishment or retaliation. Overnight, military strikes by air and sea targeted 16 Houthi positions, including command centres, munitions depots and air defence systems. US President Joe Biden said the targeted strikes in Yemen were a clear message that the United States and its partners will not tolerate attacks on its personnel or allow hostile actors to imperil freedom of navigation, and that the action will protect the free flow of international commerce. The Iran-backed group pledges to continue its attacks on ships in the Red Sea and its support for Hamas in Gaza. United States President Joe Biden confirmed the US's leading role in the attacks against Houthi rebels. In a statement from the White House, he said, "Today at my direction, US military forces, together with the United Kingdom and with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada and the Netherlands, successfully conducted strikes against a number of targets in Yemen used by Houthi rebels to endanger freedom of navigation in one of the world's most vital waterways. These strikes are in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea, including the use of anti-ship ballistic missiles for the first time in history." Well, oil prices climbed about 3% on Friday as some oil tankers diverted course from the Red Sea following those overnight air and sea strikes. Brent crude futures were up 2.9% at $79.62 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 3% to $74.15. Shipping giant Maersk and others are diverting vessels away from the Red Sea, warning customers of further disruption. Israel has said South Africa has distorted the truth in its case to the International Court of Justice, where it is accusing Israel of genocide. South Africa had presented a sweeping counterfactual description of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, according to their lawyers. South Africa says Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinians in its war in Gaza. It is also asking the court to order Israel to halt its military activity. The ICJ is the United Nations' highest court. Its rulings are theoretically legally binding on parties to the ICJ, which include Israel and South Africa, but are not enforceable. Israel is giving its defence to the court a day after South Africa presented its case.
Israel's actions in restricting its targeting practices to attack military personnel or objectives in accordance with international humanitarian law in a proportionate manner in each case, as well as its practice of mitigating civilian harm, coupled with the facilitation of humanitarian assistance, all demonstrate the precise opposite of any possible genocidal intent.
Rishi Sunak says the UK will provide £2.5 billion of military aid to Ukraine over the coming year, Britain's largest annual commitment since Russia's invasion. The Prime Minister made the announcement during a rare visit to the country, where he will also sign a new agreement supporting its long-term security. Officials said the package will provide Ukraine with long-range missiles, air defence and artillery shells. Some £200 million will be spent on drones, most of which will be UK-made. Officials said the military package for the next financial year, beginning in April, would result in the largest delivery of drones to Ukraine by any country.
The aid that we've got in place already runs through to the early part of this year, so we're acting in advance of that expiring with a new commitment of £2.5 billion, more than we've provided in previous years. That represents the seriousness of the situation here and our determination to stand with Ukraine.
And finally, Capo Verde has been given the status of being malaria-free by the World Health Organization after 3 years of no local cases of the disease.
I have certified Capo Verde as malaria-free.
Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus from the World Health Organization attended an event on the island country to celebrate the milestone. Experts have described it as a major achievement. In 2022, 580,000 people in Africa died from the disease, amounting to 95% of fatalities worldwide. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.